Andre Abrahamian from the Hero Design team breaks down Sombra's new kit. Okay, this is going to be a spicy one because I think we need to get behind the sort of developer's mindset here as to why they've decided to change Sombra in the ways that they have. Now, remember, nobody has played this in a full competitive environment. I can actually say that I have played this, but I can't give you any of my thoughts on it, which is like, fair enough. I think you can probably see in some of the videos that I've made recently where I've said maybe it's a little low impact. I don't know, but honestly, we need to wait and see. I think there are some positives here, namely the fact that I guess the negative gameplay of using the Translocator to constantly disengage has now been removed. But is what we're getting good enough to offset that? That is the question. Okay, what we're going to do now is break down what the head designer says about this change, because it will give us great insight into the direction of the hero. So settle in, everybody. This is going to be a pretty in-depth deep dive into the hero, and it's going to be awesome. So let's do this. Hola amigos, Andre from the Hero Design team here, subbing in for Aaron this week. I wanted to share with you an in-depth journey through the most recent changes to Sombra, our notoriously stealthy hacker. Since her original release in 2016, Sombra has received many changes, including a rework for Overwatch 2's launch. Now, the team brings changes to this latest iteration on Sombra once again. When we look at each Overwatch hero, we are guided by general values to provide a great hero experience. Each hero should have clear strengths and weaknesses that can be tuned accordingly. A hero's impact on a match should be felt by you, your team, and the enemy. That impact should be clear enough to inform counterplay so that enemies infer how to respond to a particular hero or their abilities. With these points in mind, we felt Sombra did not have the correct building blocks for her long-term place in the game, and that is why we started our latest approach to the rework. Establishing the goals. We approached the Sombra rework by identifying key goals to guide decisions throughout the design iteration. Make Sombra commit to the fight more when engaging, increase the active feel in her ability kit, uphold the current hacker identity and playstyle. With these goals, there were multiple angles to tackle around her existing kit. Naturally, many ideas were also meant to address frustrations playing against the character, ensuring there is proper counterplay for the opposing team. Translocator is a very versatile tool for map traversal and escape at traversal, I should say. It's a word I can't say. Map traversal, there we go, and safe escapes. The teleport is often discussed as a get out of jail free ability because Sombra can escape as she chooses before enemies can deal a fatal blow. Due to the nature of Overwatch's fast-paced gameplay, it's not common to hunt for Sombra's Translocator as a form of counterplay. It's especially difficult to catch Sombra in Overwatch 2 due to the game-wide reduction in stun frequency. There were also common gameplay styles that leave the Translocator in safe regions, such as near a health pack, and perform a rinse and repeat strategy of solo engaging enemies. While playing a lone wolf can sometimes be viable, we also still want there to have moments of active cooperation with nearby allies. When starting our iteration, we tackled each of these aspects of Translocator, wanting to make it more involved in combat. Stealth is a powerful and unique tool in Sombra's arsenal, granting invisibility. Naturally, invisibility can be difficult to balance in a competitive multiplayer game. We often discuss certain strengths around the stealth mechanic, such as the capability to hack while using stealth, to activate stealth at any time the cooldown is available, and the infinite duration. We wanted to address each of these concerns during our iterations to see what we can learn from them changing. Hack is one of the strongest parts of Sombra and has received many changes throughout Overwatch's history. We discussed this mechanic at great length since this was an opportunity to try new ideas and learn from them. Many different versions of Hack were tried throughout the rework, and the most common discussion was about how Hack could be used while invisible. We moved ahead with wanting to explore new Hack debuff possibilities. Based on these highlighted aspects of each mentioned ability, we tackled various combinations of changes to find a formula that felt right for Sombra players and all other players. We didn't just want to nerf Sombra though, we wanted to make sure Sombra had more counterplay and could even be more engaging to use. This led to multiple iteration cycles of playtesting and reacting to internal feedback to find the best version of the Sombra rework that we are happy with. Iteration and feedback. The early iterations for Sombra started off with some rather drastic changes on each ability in order to gain new design insights. An early idea for changing Hack involved making it no longer silence abilities, but instead would deal damage to the enemy if they used any ability. This proved to not be clear enough for enemies to know how they are taking damage, and it did not have consistent output between each usage since it is relying on the enemy player to react. Another iteration was to make enemies deal less damage for a duration. This change struggled because if the damage reduction value was lower, then it would go unnoticed, and if the value was high, then it quickly became oppressive. Other hack changes were tried, but did not stick because of lacking clarity and impact to enemies. We eventually kept the same hack debuff, but made hacking an enemy cancel stealth. This worked well because it made Sombra more committed to engaging the enemy and gave the opposing team a consistent opportunity to respond to her. Translocator had several iterations alongside stealth. Since they are both Sombra's mobility and escape tools, an early idea was giving Translocator a short duration so that it had to be used during combat. We quickly noticed that Sombra players still preferred to try and use their Translocator in safe spots before engaging. We also learned that this change was pushing Sombra's gameplay style to be closest to team engagements, which we kept in mind with other changes. Stealth had early changes of becoming a dash ability, giving a jolt of movement and a very short duration of unbreakable stealth. While interesting to have Sombra quickly glimpse in and out of stealth during fights, enemy players were unhappy with no counterplay for unbreakable stealth. Sombra players wanted more time to flank behind enemy lines. Eventually, we consolidated the changes to making Translocator a fast teleport and stealth a passive ability, giving Sombra quicker maneuvers within combat, allowing enemies to have more opportunities to react to her. We talked about the opportunist passive and decided to remove it, making room for the new stealth passive, while also removing the passive elements of automatically revealing enemies and gaining bonus impact gun damage. We wanted to turn these passive opportunist elements into something more actively noticeable. With this closely combative version of teleporting and stealth, we then started balancing this survivability with some more lethality, which led us to exploring the many possibilities of a new damage ability. Exploring new abilities. With the mobility and survivability in a place we felt happy with, we began iterating on new forms of damage. A long list of ideas was explored, ranging anywhere from cybernetic devices to digital malware. An early idea at the top of the list was a laser wire trap. An idea from her original design. Sombra would place a trap on a wall and it would automatically trigger on nearby enemies to deal damage and slow. Playtest showed that it took too much time preparing the trap and had little to possibly no effect during combat, so we went back to the drawing board. Another ability was called Cybernetic Wire and would deal damage in an arc, dealing bonus damage to enemies at low health. The intent was to secure kills as a finishing blow style ability. This felt too oppressive because of the high amount of instant damage that can be dealt to multiple enemies at once, and it was sometimes difficult for Sombra to perceive the physical range in first person while simultaneously using the machine pistol. Though there were problems, there were excitement around this new form of damage, and then we pivoted to a Skillshot ability ideas. Eventually, the ability known as Virus was born as a projectile that deals damage over time. It synergized well with the range playstyle, and enemies had more time to respond to the damage over time. We learned that this new form of damage can make Sombra players less likely to hack enemies when engaging out of stealth, so we explored a bonus interaction when Virus hacked targets. Some bonus Virus impacts ideas were reducing its cooldown when hitting hacked enemies or spreading the damage to nearby targets. Neither of those felt very clear to enemy players. We settled with the idea of making Virus deal faster damage over time for hacked targets, since that had a better balance for enemies to notice and react to the effects. Once we were happy with where the rework was heading, multiple playtests were hosted across the team to collect more feedback and fine-tune the numeric balance. Further playtests helped us tweak changes in the rework, such as making Translocator also reduce the passive stealth cooldown, giving some extra survivability back to Sombra. Overall, we finished the rework with the changes you see starting in Season 7. A quick teleport version of Translocator for more combinative and trackable Sombra, a passive stealth that gives enemies time to react to Sombra before she escapes, and the new Virus ability that gives Sombra more lethality. These are the Sombra patch notes. Sombra. This is a hero rework. Machine pistol. Damage increased from 7.5 to 8. Minimum spread reduced from 0.5 to 0. Number of shots until max spread has been increased from 3 to 6 shots. Reload time reduced from 1.4 to 1.2 seconds. Hack. Cast time reduced from 0.75 seconds to 0.65 seconds. Now cancels stealth when hacking an enemy hero. Cooldown increased from 4 to 6 seconds. Hack has a reduced cooldown of 3 seconds if hack is interrupted or if a non-hero enemy is hacked. The hacked warning text will only appear while you are silenced and not for the remainder duration of the hack debuff. The Opportunist passive has been removed. Stealth, ability reworked to be a passive. Sombra automatically becomes invisible after 3.5 seconds while not shooting, using a damaging ability, or receiving damage. Stealth movement speed bonus reduced from 60 to 45%. Fade out duration into stealth reduced from 0.375 seconds to 0.25 seconds. Fade in duration from stealth reduced from 0.5 seconds to 0.375 seconds. Updated the UI messaging to the Sombra player when hacking health packs to revealed instead of detected. Now the message detected is only used when an enemy player is in the detection radius. Virus. This is a new ability assigned to ability 1 by default. Fire a projectile that damages an enemy over time. Damage is dealt faster on hacked enemies. Impact damage 10, 20 on hacked targets. Damage over time 100 over 4 seconds, 100 over 2 seconds on hacked target. Translocator can no longer be manually activated. Translocator will now automatically teleport Sombra after 0.25 seconds from being thrown or when impacting the environment. Reduces a stealth passive cooldown after teleporting. Projectile speed increased from 25 to 72. Cooldown reduced from 6 seconds to 5 seconds. Cooldown now begins after Sombra teleports to the location of the Translocator. Projectile launch initial vertical offset removed. EMP, ultimate charge cost increased by 15%. Health percent damage decreased from 40 to 30%. And then in closing, the developers say, moving forward, we hope this offers more insight into our development process behind hero reworks and our intentions for Sombra's ability changes. These iterations are focused on making Sombra a more fun and exciting hero to play and a less frustrating hero to fight against. We feel that this new version of Sombra will provide new combative playstyles and clearer experience for all players. We will continue to watch how Sombra performs going forward and will adjust balance when the time is right. As with all heroes in Overwatch, Sombra is very important to us and we value the feedback of our amazing community. Thanks for reading. Boop. Okay, all right. So thanks for getting through that with me, guys. If I sound a little bit off, it's because I've got some absolutely terrible toothache and I'm waiting to get sorted out by the dentist. But you know, there's a dev update to read, so here I am. But yeah, I think this is it's been really interesting watching the reaction to the Sombra rework details that were dropped on the Overwatch socials. What I like about this post, though, is they've actually gone into detail and give us the figures of what the abilities do. So things like Virus, you know, it's got 10 impact damage, but it's got 20 impact damage on a hack target, and the damage over time is 100 over 4 seconds or 100 over 2 seconds on a hack target. So that's incredible. That saves messing around going into custom games and finding out the figures. That also shows you how powerful that ability is. But yeah, going back to the reaction people have had on seeing the sort of details for the rework, I think people are bouncing between sort of like, well, this isn't really much of a rework, and people going, well, this kind of kills the Sombra playstyle, which was set the Translocator, go off, do Sombra stuff, and then escape, which, let's be honest, was really frustrating to play against, and probably frustrating for the Sombra players. I think for me, though, I was kind of looking for some, like a mad rework, like completely rework the hero, but you can see Blizzard have sort of taken the approach of, they want to be, this isn't like a sledgehammer rework, it's like a fine-tuning rework, and then we'll add another ability, but we'll move some other abilities around, things like obviously stealth becoming a passive, and changing the way Translocator activates. This is going to be really interesting, I think, for Sombra. I think the more I read about this and the more I look at this, that this might be better than the current version of Sombra that we've got, because it promotes a better gameplay style. Again, the problem will be, how will this impact the game? We won't know until this hits the live servers. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, guys, what you think about this. I think it's interesting. I think this does set a precedent for the Roadhog rework that's coming mid-season. What's that going to look like? Is that going to be just a mini sort of rework, or are they going to totally change the hero? Are they going to make him a tank, a proper tank this time, or are they going to make him DPS? There's a lot of options there. All right, guys, thank you for listening and watching the video, and I'm off the dentist because my teeth are killing me. I mean, it's like a British guy in teeth. Oh, man. Catch you on the next one. See you soon.